Hello, welcome to Round Table. The Harry Potter star Emma Watson expressed solidarity towards the Palestinian cause on social media and has since faced a furious backlash from Israeli officials. So does celebrity activism actually raise awareness? Or is it a big turnoff that causes more harm than good? Good to have you along. I'm David Foster. More than 40 film stars, including Mark Ruffalo and Sarah Sarandon, publicly backed Emma Watson's pro-Palestinian stance, as she was in turn accused of anti-Semitism.
The fact that Emma Watson and various celebrities have spoken up is actually commendable, and it shows that the tide is shifting and the narrative is changing, and Israel's sort of crimes of apartheid are being more and more internationally recognised.
We shouldn't need to have celebrities posting on Instagram or just celebrities posting anywhere in general to bring the issue into the forefront. The Palestinian issue, the occupation of Palestine should always be in the forefront. It shouldn't have to be something that is legitimised once a celebrity posts about it. But of course we welcome any kind of solidarity from celebrities and influencers alike.
But in this age of social media, we need to ask, do celebrities promote activist causes such as Black Lives Matter, sometimes just to jump on the bandwagon?
Somebody made the joke to me recently that it seems like Hollywood has suddenly traded in their BLM stickers for I got vaccinated stickers, and now it's the Free Palestine stickers. That is how the internet works. Everything becomes a trend and everybody jumps on a bandwagon. It's social media and it's signaling a virtue on social media platforms.
Well, let's introduce our guests on this round table in our London studio. Farah Koteni, founder of Key 48, online platform aimed at amplifying Palestinian voices with personal experience of celebrities sharing their online content. And then Farah perhaps saying, no, thank you, we don't want to do it anymore. We'll find out why. Also in the studio, Jenny Runacre, actress whose career goes back to the 70s, worked with many, many famous directors, who does believe that celebrities should be able to express themselves politically, as long as they are relatively sensible. And joining us remotely on Skype from Northampton, Paul Cullen, talent advocacy specialist. In other words, he works with the difficult people or the brilliant people who make up our performing arts canon. Jenny, let me come to you first of all. You took part in demonstrations against Iraq. I don't know whether you got any abuse because of doing so, or whether you got a great deal of support. But do you think it works?
Well, I must say, when I took part in the Iraq demonstration, and I was really involved, and I was helping making posters. I was down where they were all getting all the protesting, all the organising together, and in the end, I filmed it all. I filmed it all on my little camera, and I remember going up to Hyde Park Corner, and there were masses of people there. It was packed, and it was so powerful. And I was filming it, and I thought, my God, this is going to make people think there were, because you could see just the hordes of people, and. So anyway, we all come back and say, brilliant, that was really fabulous. Rush home to watch it on television. And do you know, there was about a 3-minute clip, and it wasn't that. And it was all then dismissed. And that was the first time I really thought that demonstration doesn't work much. Demonstration
doesn't work, but what about celebrity endorsement of protests?
Well, celebrity endorsements, if they're on the right platform and if they've got sort of respect, have earned some sort of respect, yes, I think they should endorse things, yes. And I do think it make a difference.
Farah, let me come to you. You started something to protest about what you believed was happening at university in terms of censorship. Tell us a little bit about what you did and how you got the backing of certain very well-known faces, what they did after that as well.
So in university, I created an organisation called Key 48. It's a campaign that calls for the right of return for all Palestinian refugees because we believe it should be at the centre of our struggle. And at university, so we created it in 2017, and at university we were heavily censored. The universities tried to stop us even launching Key 48.
Well, why don't we put up one of the infographics that you put out? This was part of a series. Well, you tell me a little bit about it. This is about Israel and Palestine.
Yeah, so we created this infographic actually a few months ago, and initially when we posted it, it didn't get the response it did later on get. But as soon as one celebrity started sharing it, the momentum for it massively picked up. And we found, Bella Hadid shared it, Gigi Hadid shared it, and Diana Ross's daughter ended up sharing it. All of these celebrities or people with following started to share it. And it became one of the most viral posts in what we call the digital intifada, the online activism that was circulating around May, June in 2021. And right in the middle of when the post was going viral, so when everyone was sharing it, Instagram decided to take it down. And the reason for which they decided to take it down was accusing us of sharing something to do with terrorist organizations. But if you see the post itself, it's a cartoon merely with text reframing the narrative.
Let me go back to the list of celebrities. I don't know whether you did, but I think I missed out Mark Ruffalo in that particular list that you gave there. Now, along with Bella Hadid and others, he followed your post, he liked it, and then he backpedaled. What's the story there?
What you find with a lot of celebrities is once they do share a post to do with Palestine, merely even recognizing Palestinians exist, they will face a lot of backlash and they will face a lot of quote-unquote controversy. And it's a sign of their solidarity if they stick through that and they don't backpedal. And for him to backpedal, he shouldn't have shown any solidarity at all in the first place.
Cowardly?
Yeah.
Or understandable?
Cowardly. We are
He might have been very worried about the mistake he thought he had made. In other words, he would be attracting the wrong kind of attention. He was frightened, perhaps.
No, from what I saw he shared and his when he was talking about Palestine in news interviews, he was very much talking the facts. He was talking about the occupation. He was talking about Israeli apartheid. He was talking factually. And if you're speaking factually and about the truth, how can anyone ever,
well, you know the way social media works. Whether you
but you have to
put
stand firm.
facts out there, you can still be attacked.
Yeah, and we were attacked on Key 48, but we still continued. We still fought to have that post put back up. We still continued creating more posts. The thing with Palestine solidarity is resilience. You have to be resilient. You have to be steadfast. You have to continue.
Okay, let's put this up on the screen. Gilad Erdan, Israel's ambassador to the United Nations. It fits in. Paul, I will come to you in just a second. It fits in with what you were just saying about the posts regarding this part of the Middle East. He said, fiction may work in Harry Potter, but it doesn't work in reality. If it did, the magic used in the wizarding world could eliminate the evils of Hamas, which oppresses women and seeks the annihilation of Israel, and the PA, which supports terror. I would be in favour of that PA being the Palestinian Authority. So you are going to get a backlash.
The backlash is inevitable, and I think when Emma Watson shared her Instagram post, what she did was, even though the post was minimal, what she did was she exposed the demonization of Palestine solidarity and she put that into the mainstream. She made people actually realize what's going on, what's happening. Because what she did was she posted a post with just, not even referencing Palestine, just a picture with people carrying, justice for Palestine placards. And the demonization of that and people accusing her, well, mainly the Israel lobby accusing her of anti-Semitism, exposed their whole strategy. And their strategy is to accuse anyone of anti-Semitism who dare recognize that Palestinians exist. And this is an Israeli government strategy.
Let me ask you, Jenny.
Yeah.
You live in the world of people who are what they are by dint of their talent and their personality and having their faces out there.
Yeah.
Do you recognise that some people would be very frightened of doing this, even if it perhaps were to benefit the cause that they espouse?
Yes, they would. If, for example, you've worked very hard for your career and you've got responsibilities and you want to keep on working and you feel that the backlash from promoting this cause is going to... Or if you get the backlash and it's too much for you to bear. I understand people have terrible things written to them. Then I can see how they, could backpedal. But I agree, it's not ideal and you should really stick to your guns. But
Farah says it's cowardly.
It's practical. It's practical. Depends on their responsibilities. Say if they've got a lot of responsibilities that they've got to upkeep and they're going to be hounded and treated badly. If they care that much and want to give up their careers and go and work for the various organisations they're promoting, well, that's very noble, yes.
Do keep these thoughts in mind. I'm going to go through a list of celebrities who've actually put their noses out or their appearances out there. Paul, I'll come to you after I've gone through this. Emma Watson, we mentioned her. That Palestinian solidarity message went to her 65.5 million followers on Instagram. And there it gained almost 1.5 million likes. George Clooney, 2010, co-founded the Satellite Sentinel project using satellite tech to apparently detect, monitor and deter mass atrocities in Sudan and South Sudan. His wife, Amal Clooney, human rights lawyer, named Sudan advisor to the ICC prosecutor. All of those big names, big cases. And we know the likes of Beyonce, Rihanna, Ariana Grande, Jennifer Lopez, Drake, and many others have publicly supported Black Lives Matter. So, Paul, let me ask you, in the world of talent management, do you ever have people coming to you, or do you know of people who go to their agents and say, find me a cause?
I don't necessarily think it's about finding a cause, but definitely it's a discussion that you'd have with your manager. You should be basing that on your beliefs, the causes that you're interested in, your personal experience. So there's a couple of points so one of the points that Jenny made about demonstrations and the power of those, if you look at John Boyega and his attendance at the Black Lives Matter demonstration, that went global in terms of the speech that he made, and it was very powerful and it was very personal. Going to Farah's point about Mark Ruffalo, I'm quite interested as to why he backpedaled, given that with the Emma Watson thing, he's put his name to a letter of support around her Palestinian post. So there's a few questions that are around that need to be
okay,
answered.
Well, you can carry on in a second, Paul, but we'll ask Farah that. Do you know any reason behind that? What Paul just mentioned, why did Mark Ruffalo decided he no longer wanted to be associated?
I don't know, but it comes with a common response of they're worried about future job responsibilities, directors they're working with in the future, or usually along those lines. But I don't know the initial reason, but that's usually the common line.
There you go. It's a common assumption that they'd realised that they'd stuck their neck out perhaps a bit too far, Paul.
But also Rose McGowan, the American actress who ignited the Me Too movement, she also said in an interview that when celebrities do voice up about Palestine or they raise their voice for what's happening in Gaza, as it happens every few years, they do get put into what she called a celebrity timeout and are then felt forced to backpedal. She did mention that as well. That's a common thing to happen in Hollywood.
Jenny, any time you want to say whatever is on your mind, it's an open discussion. I'd want Paul to finish what he was saying, and then we'll just carry on.
Cool. With that, I think it's about them being very informed. So if you're going to put your head above the parapet and you're going to talk about a cause, you really need to understand the politics behind it, particularly something like Palestine, which I would admit that I don't know that much about. So I wouldn't post anything on social media because I know it's a contentious issue, because I'm not well enough informed about it. So if you're in the public eye, it's your responsibility, if you're going to use your platform, that you're actually informed about all the different aspects of that, so that then you can, if it fits with your opinion, then, and it's the facts, then you should be talking about it. But if you're worried about how's that going to make me appear, then perhaps you need to kind of not press post or not press send.
But aren't you always going to be on a hiding to nothing? Because you are never going to be as well informed as the most educated people on these rights, which they've spent their lives actually studying. And therefore, the moment you make the slightest mistake, however heartfelt your message and however strongly you feel about the cause you're talking about, you're going to look like an idiot.
Not necessarily. It's about the resilience, as has been mentioned. If you really believe in something, like if you look at the Marcus Rashford involvement in feeding children, that came from a place of where he understands that entirely, and he's stuck with that throughout, kind of accusations from the government and people involved in government that celebrities shouldn't be involved in that politic discussion, but actually they can have a real impact. So if you're going to get involved, be informed, but make sure that you're willing to stick with that and that you're not going to backpedal, because I don't think that looks good for you or, the cause. It just makes you come across as quite uninformed.
Yeah, because you talked about they have to be informed, and that could be read two ways, couldn't it? They have to be already educated in what they're talking about, or they have to be informed with regard to what they're talking about. In other words, they have to be educated by somebody else, taught by somebody else.
Yeah, and and the fact that you can have that backlash if you're putting yourself out there. And I think one of the reasons that celebrities are more willing to now come out and become activists is due to the fact that they now have a right to reply. Whereas back in the old days when it was just the mainstream media publishing what they were saying, you didn't have as much control. So as well as being informed, it is about sticking to your guns. And if you believe that, then you should absolutely stick to your guns. And if you're worried about it, you should be thinking about that before you get involved in the conversation, because if it's something that you feel that you may backpedal on, perhaps you shouldn't be talking about it in the first place.
Jenny, I will be with you in just a second.
Yes.
I mentioned this to both of you in the studio before we went on air. This is somebody who thinks it is actually quite a bad idea. Candace Owens, American conservative, talk show host, etc., etc. Let's hear her words.
It's either do this or you are that. It's exactly what was done during the Black Lives Matter riots. If you did not use your platform to say Black Lives Matter, then, well, it's because you're a racist. You must hate black people. You must want black people to die. Now it's the same thing, but they're in certain different groups, different ethnic groups. If you do not use your platform to say this, to speak out about Israel, it means that you hate Jewish people. If you do not use your platform, Candace, to say that it is sad to see a photo of a dead Arab girl, then it's because you want all Palestinians dead. That's emotional blackmail. That is what's happening on the internet today. It's emotional blackmail.
So, Jenny, let me come to you and ask, do you know of people who actually have done this because it burnishes their image rather than helps the cause?
Well, I mean, there's always the question of whether the celebrity is doing it because, yes, it'll help his image along, or because he really feels that strongly in the cause. And some people do. Some people do line themselves up with the cause. I mean, Ricky Gervais was making that joke at the Golden Globes last time about, people coming up for their awards and then spouting on about their next cause. And he thought they shouldn't do it, just take their award and go, which is one way of looking at it. But then, I mean, people do get involved in subjects, and I do agree you've got to know all about it. You've got to know everything about it before you actually start committing yourself to sort of ranting about something. So, yes, you've got to be informed, and most people do it quite sincerely, but there must be people that actually do it to enhance their status anyway.
Yeah. Farah, are you ever cynical when you look at somebody saying this must end, we must stop these people being oppressed, we must... Do you ever wonder what their motivation is? Or are you too trusting?
I view it in two ways. I view it in a cynical way of sometimes, perhaps, not necessarily maybe with the Palestinian cause, but other causes as well, celebrities and people with followings will use it as quote-unquote good publicity. Maybe if they're bringing out a new album, new films coming out, doesn't hurt to show a bit of good publicity. But when it comes to the Palestinian cause and celebrities are speaking up, I respect that. And if they don't backpedal, then I respect it even more. I do think celebrities and people with followings on the platform, it's a privilege for them not to talk about political issues. And when they do have a following, then it becomes a duty and they should be speaking out.
How is it going now with Key 48 and the endorsement of celebrities? 48, of course, being a particular number when it comes to the establishment of the State of Israel. I'm guessing that's where the 48 comes from. Yeah. But where is your organisation now?
So we're doing quite well. We have over 25 ambassadors in different countries around the world. And
anybody particularly well known?
They're all local grassroots activists, okay. But we do have a lot of support from some very well-known figures as well. But the thing with Key 48 and what made it kind of be what it is now is celebrity endorsements. We went from 6,000 followers. We only had 6,000 followers in 4 years. In the space of a week, we went up to 80,000 followers, and that was just because of celebrity endorsements and celebrities sharing the posts.
Is it still going up?
Yeah, and it's still going up now.
It was 80,000. Where is it now?
Oh no, it's still 80,000.
80,000. That's extraordinary. Paul, do you think there is a market for, not necessarily you, but people who try to ensure that their clients in the celebrity world don't fall and make massive mistakes? Do you think there's a market for people to actually go out and educate the stars on what they should and shouldn't say when it comes to a particular issue?
Yeah, I think there's actually people who are working in that area. So if you've got a big profile, you might actually work with somebody who understands different causes and would suggest to you who you might want to talk to find out more about it, if it's something that you're interested in. But cynicism in the media is huge, and on social media now. So you really need to want to have some involvement with the cause that you've got an authentic link to, or you really believe in. So you'll work with particular people who might be able to introduce you. The benefit of being in the public eye and having access to people who are well informed. So that opens doors and gives you access to people that we, ordinary public wouldn't necessarily be able to be informed by. So I think there's definitely strategists involved in making sure that you're saying the right, not that you're saying the right thing, but that you're getting the right information so that you can then say the right thing, if that's something you want to talk about.
Are there any causes that you would definitely advise any client of yours to steer well clear of?
I'd advise my clients to steer clear of any cause that they didn't really believe in or that they weren't willing to find out about. So it's about, as I said, really understanding why you're getting involved. What does it mean to you? Why are you interested in it? If somebody asked you without somebody stood behind you telling you why that cause is important, are you able to say something with credibility? And that really should inform who you're aligning with.
Okay, we'll go back to the 70s and 80s, Jenny, and you might remember the Greenham Common protests about the American nuclear base just near Reading. That was one thing where a lot of celebrities, I think Vanessa Redgrave, etc., others, attached themselves to it. The camp eventually, the Americans took the weapons away. That could be seen as an example of where something worked. Can you think of any others that you've perhaps been associated with that did some good, or perhaps some that did the opposite?
I mean, I know Greenham Common worked, but I mean, Vanessa Redgrave got a lot of flack for that. And I mean, in the business, I mean, I remember, I was working after that in the business, but I mean, I can remember people talking about her and referring very derogatively to her because she was always doing these protesting. So it does have now I think it's easier. Now everybody's on social media. Now everybody's on Twitter. Now everybody's got an opinion. And you can, but I agree, you've got to know the facts. You've got to know everything about it. You can't just sit there and spout about something when you don't know the whole thing. But everybody has an opinion, and everybody's entitled to opinion, and everybody puts their opinions up there because it's so much more emotional, isn't it? When we're debating things like climate change, Palestine, sexuality, gender, there's so many things that affect us personally that everybody has to say something, really.
Do you think Vanessa Redgrave and the others would have been cancelled these days for what they did?
Yeah, possibly.
So times have changed. Do you think they've changed for the better, with celebrities being able to get their voices out there and the causes like yours? You say you went from 6,500, I think it was, to 80,000, or do the dangers outweigh the benefits?
I think there is some benefits, but it's limited benefits. It works in terms of awareness. It works in bringing an audience to a cause. Those parts are actually fundamental. But where it stops is when celebrities try to, or actually celebrities when they start to endorse causes, it kind of becomes trends.
You've got to be really know what you're doing and be sincere in what you're doing. I mean, to use Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is going to make you look ridiculous. And what appeal is it to little children? What's that going to do for them?
Yeah.
It can kind of make a cause become almost like a charity, which is also problematic as well. When a lot of causes that have become trends like Black Lives Matter or Palestine, those things require systemic change. They can't be, it's not something you can just donate money to or like a post and it's going to end. These are things that, your solidarity needs to be consistent. And when sometimes celebrities endorse things, it kind of does become this kind of temporary trend. And I mean, even now, look what celebrities were sharing a few months ago. Let's save Sheikh Jarrah. But now, Sheikh Jarrah they're still demolishing homes, they're still stealing homes. Where are the celebrities' endorsements now? Or was it just then when it was a trend and people were posting? So it requires consistency that sometimes celebrities don't fulfill.
It's not just, Paul, about the celebrity choosing their cause. It's about the cause choosing their celebrity. And I'm thinking in commercial terms. What about that one where David Beckham was an ambassador for Brill Cream, the hair product? Then halfway through his multi-million-pound deal, he shaved his head. And sales of Brill Cream went absolutely down the pan because it didn't look like it worked for him at that particular point. So the causes have got to choose their celebrities. Yeah,
I think so. I think it's got to be an open conversation. as Farah was saying, her social media following kind of went up huge because of celebrity endorsement, so it definitely works. The Palestinian debate is in the mainstream now. As I think she said, that occasionally that happens, it goes in periods and it comes and goes, but sustained support really can help, and that's why people like the UN have Emma Watson involved in an ambassadorial role. UNICEF do, COP26 use quite a lot of people who are talking about climate change to really bring it into the mainstream, and so it is a partnership. So it's got to work in a way that works for both parties. So it's about choosing each other wisely, and as I say, that authenticity of involvement.
And not ending up with emotional overload. Listen, thank you very much indeed. A man who knows the stars. Jenny, thank you for coming in. Good luck with the film and TV work. And Farah, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on what happens when you get a celebrity to endorse your particular cause. In your case, it worked rather well. That's it from me, David Foster, from the Roundtable team. Roll credits. Thank you for watching. See you next time.